Welcome, everybody, to Sally Speaks Mindset podcast. And today I am thrilled to have LindaJoy Benn with us. And she is from Australia. And you'll love her accent because we all do in North America and around the world. But welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Sally. Great to be here. It's always a pleasure to see you again.
I love seeing you as well. And so I want to tell people a little bit about your background. So from what I understand, at the age of 21, you were diagnosed with cancer. And you went on a journey to really discover why this was and explore the opportunities for healing, not only your body, but your mind and your soul at the same time. And so I would really love for us to talk a little bit about that journey and what that meant to you, because that's pretty shocking when you're such a young age to be able to have that happen to you. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you were feeling and how this came about?
Absolutely. We come into these lives and these bodies, to learn and grow as a soul. And when I had cancer, I knew at the time that I was unhappy. And I, was brought up in a family that was quite abusive, that didn't understand who I was. And because I've always been quite spiritual. And so because they didn't understand it, they ostracized me. But when I met my spiritual teacher when I had cancer at the age of 21, and it was actually in San Jose, California, he helped me to understand why I chose my family, which changed the whole perspective on being the victim and going, why don't they like me or love me or accept me, to understanding I chose them in order to teach me in this life, as well as to understand why I created the cancer, which was all the suppressed emotions of sadness and hurt and rejection and abandonment and all those old programs from my childhood. And then learning the whole mind, body, spirit connection and how our mind can heal itself when we focus. It's like, yes, we are a soul in this body. And when we reconnect to who we truly are, we're invincible.
Yes.
And so that's why I chose my career, and I've been studying and researching for over 30 years, everything to do with natural therapies and the mind and the body and the soul, and looking at not just the science, but also, yes, I did study a lot of things, to do with the body, but also connecting it to a bigger realm, more of the cosmos and who we are as a soul. So that's the work that I focus on today, is reconnecting and bringing people home who they are.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of juicy things in there I want to delve into. So the first thing you talked about was choosing our family. So tell me a little bit about what you've discovered about that, because I've heard a lot about that recently and how we do choose our family. And sometimes we choose our family and then we change our mind. And so miscarriages and things like that can happen. And so tell me a little bit about what your concept is on that and what your understanding is about choosing your family, because I think that's just so fascinating.
Well, as a soul, I go back many, many, many lifetimes. And it's interesting, through those lifetimes, I was killed in many, many lives for doing my spiritual work, because back then it wasn't accepted, and you were called a witch and you were burnt at the stake and you were beheaded and, So now, and it was my family who was killing me. So in this life, it's like I came into this lifetime to heal a lot of karma from all the past lives, as well as generational. And that's all part of my purpose. Yeah. So with each of my family members, they are on a different level of consciousness, and bless them, you know, I love them and I accept where they're at, though it's not about trying to change them. It's just accepting them where they're at. But what I discovered through my healing journey, because I've also later on created an autoimmune. And so even when I'd done all this study and I was doing, you know, all my holistic work, and talking about shifting consciousness and expanding awareness, I just felt like no one was listening. And that's when it was after I lived in America and I came back to Australia, I just thought, no one's listening to this message, you know, and then and I was feeling burnt out. That's why I created the Burnout to Balance. And the learning was when my energy was low and I was feeling fragile and vulnerable and looking for support, I reached out to my family, but all I got was attacks and judgment and criticism and, you know, you're a failure, and all of that started. And it's like, that's it, I'm out of here. I'm cut off and just watch my physical body deteriorate. And that's where, you know, in the medical realm, I was diagnosed with autoimmune and chronic fatigue and adrenal burnout and depression and suicide and, you know, all these labels. But it was because my mind had decided consciously, I don't want to play this game anymore. And I was in a really dark pit.
Wow.
Then it was my spiritual teacher, another spiritual teacher who I met in 2004. When I went and saw her, she just looked at me and just went, Linda Benn, what are you doing? And do you know who you are as a soul? And I said, yeah, but I'm exhausted. She said, if you end this contract, the next time will be 10 times worse.
Oh, no.
I just went, no, you can't live, you know. So this is why I'm so passionate about helping people with mental health and, you know, because depression seems to be so, you know, everyone is like, oh, I'm depressed, or I've, you know, all these names. And it's like they're just disconnected to who they truly are. So I healed my body naturally, no medication. My doctor, you know, was trying to medicate me for the autoimmune, medicate me for the depression, medicate me, you know, and then triple the medication. And I was non-compliant, much to his, you know, upset. And like, no, this is my choice. I will heal my body naturally. And it was when I made that decision. Okay, I commit and I take full responsibility. I created this disease in my body and I can uncreate it. And that goes for any illness or disease. And it's like we're the co-creator. So it all comes back to our mind and creating. So back to your question on the family is when we're, okay, I'm going to go esoteric here. When we're souls up in spirit world, we make these agreements and contracts. And it's like, I want you to show me and teach me, you know, how to love myself and how to, stand in my power and how to be resilient. And they agree and go, okay, but that means that we need to be really, really nasty and treat you horrible and ostracize you and reject you and abandon you, and we won't love you. And it's like we made that agreement. Then I came and I chose my family to treat me how they have treated me in order for me to learn and grow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about loving and accepting myself, not looking for them to love and accept me or support me or prop me up when I need it. It's like I came in with that agreement because it's like I'm connected to source.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where, it's all about stepping into your power and really knowing who you are as a soul, mm-hmm. and what your true soul's purpose and mission is. And it's like the external world is just noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're plugged in and you've got that certainty, and and my family are just showing me anytime that I'm feeling, gullible, or that's where the attacks come in. Like, no, and so this is the flip side, and this is what I teach my clients. Don't make meaning out of something. It's like, what are they teaching you? And that's with everybody. If you're triggered, they're teaching you something.
Mm-hmm. Well, the trigger is a response to a previous, in my opinion, it's a previous situation that's happened or an incident that's happened that's created an emotion. And that emotion, when we feel that feeling again, in whatever that situation is, it triggers that same response. And so part of that is getting control over that. Like, you've decided, I'm not going to hold myself there anymore. I'm going to make the choice on how I'm going to react going forward and what I'm going to respond to, because I have that choice and I have that power. And so I'm hearing that really loud and clear from you. And I love how you're talking about, we all are spirit, we all have source, whatever you want to call your source, there's a source. Because we are energetic beings, and we know that everything is energy. And there's lots of science to back that up. So this is not new to the world or to any scientist out there. We are energetic beings. And so I've heard a lot in my lifetime as well that we come back into a new body. Our spirit comes back into a new body to learn the next lesson that we need to learn. And so I'm loving how you're talking about that lesson we're learning, but also how you're able to pivot, because that that's your reason for being here. That you're able to take back that control when you're feeling like things aren't going your way, or you're being pulled back into, that feeling of not being worthy or being, a victim, and those types of things, that you can pull yourself out of that now and say, no, that is not why I'm here. I love how you keep going like this, because you're spirit and that, and you're able to, bring that forward for you. So, I think that you have a very powerful message. I know you have a very powerful message. I'm not going to say think, I know you do. But I think there's so many people that are still searching to be able to understand it more clearly. So tell me a little bit about your 5 steps in your 5-hour renewal program and the Benn method, because I want people to know that you have a solution and you have a process to be able to work with people. So do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So my career started doing body work and massage and energy work, and then healing. And so all the study I did was more on the body work and the musculoskeletal, but then I also studied all on the psychic stuff and the energy work, and lots of healing modalities, which I also teach. Though one of the healing modalities is Palawa healing, and this was from my teacher in 2004, and it's all about shifting consciousness, expanding awareness, and connecting all 12 strands of DNA. And my big aha was, you can't fix the physical body with the mind that created it. So when you shift consciousness, then the physical body will take care of itself. Because what I noticed with all my clients, they'd say, oh, this is sore, or this is sore, or this hurts, or whatever. They'd walk out feeling absolutely fantastic, pain-free, and it's like, great, you know, and then they'd recreate that. And that's where I started going much deeper into the somatics and more of the psychic surgery and really looking at the root cause. And that's how I work today. But people would ask me, wow, this is amazing. What do you call it? And I just said, oh, it's the Benn technique, you know, which is my last name. And I kind of, you know, just threw that out loosely, you know, it's my own technique. I combine a lot of things together. And then it was later on that I actually created, you know, the Benn method, but I'll just park that for now. The 5 R's was, okay, what do I actually do for people? And it was like the 5 steps are release, realign, restore, rebalance, and re-energize. So that's releasing the pain from their body and also releasing, and this is what I later on created my online program. It's all releasing those old programs and patterns and behaviors and habits and everything that is keeping you stuck in your life. So it's not just on a physical, it's also on a mindset. And then realigning you back to who you truly are, but also structural, postural realignment to then restore, especially if you've gone through any illness or disease, restoring every system and every organ in your body, and also restoring your faith, whatever that faith is, and reconnecting, restoring that connection, and then rebalance. You know, it's not just balancing work-life balance, but this is rebalancing the energies in your body, the masculine, feminine, and there's so much with, you know, everything that we do in our life. It's all about balance. The next step is re-energize, and when you can jump out of bed and go, wow, I feel fantastic, I love my life, I have the best life, that's when you actually are operating and functioning at optimal level, and you're full of energy, you're full of joy, and you truly feel that happiness and joy and love in your heart. So that's what I created, you know, over 20 years ago while I was working with my bodywork clients. And then it was later on, well, I did workshops on it as well, personal development workshops, and then now everything's online, so it's an online course, and I've got my program there. And then the Benn method was when I was recovering from being sitting in the pit. It was like, and I recommitted my connection and said to Spirit, please help me heal my body. What do I need? And that's where I got the 4 steps of balance, energy, nurture, nourish, which is an acronym for my last name. And so that is also a program, and that's where it's all come together, but the foundation is the 5 steps, and the Benn method is a sustainable model to take people, well, it's longevity.
Okay. Can you tell me what the words were again? Balance, energy, nurture,
and nourish.
Nourish, okay.
Which equals the new you.
Yes. And so that's your, you go through your 5 R's first as you're just trying to get everything in alignment. And then you go into the Benn method to sort of maintain and continue to grow. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. I like that, because it's really important. I think there's a lot of practitioners out there that do the one and done, right? In other words, they bring people in and they do one piece of it, but they're not doing the holistic, where they're looking at all the different areas, which is what I'm hearing that you're bringing forward. You're bringing forward all of the different modalities that you've studied, and making sure that if you have a client, when you have your clients, that they're getting the full ability to tap into every one of those elements that they need to become that healthy person and that spiritually healthy person, as well as being able to heal themselves. So I really like that.
Absolutely, Sally, because it's like as we move through life, there's times, we're always upgrading. I say we're always upgrading our conscious human operating system, and it's like just upgrading the software.
Yes.
And removing the viruses. And there's going to be times where you kick your toe, you do all the programs, you do all the workshops. It's like, yay, feel good, and then a week later or a month later or whatever, it's like, ouch, this has come up. Because as a human being, we're always learning and growing. That's why we here for this experience here on earth. It's not a one and done, it's like, oh, tick the box. Anything that happens to you is actually happening for you, and we're always learning and growing. So it doesn't matter how successful you are, there's always challenges for you to overcome. But in that learning, it's like, and every failure is, what did I learn? And how can I be better? And personally, it's like, how can I be the better version of me? And what do I need to do in order to overcome this either emotion, this illness, this disease, or this whether it's a relationship breakup, whether it's a redundancy, whether it's a divorce or illness or a diagnosis or whatever. I mean, there's always things that are happening in everyone's life where it's, a significant emotional event, or it's a trigger.
Yes.
We talk to people every single day, and it's like, oh, I got triggered today. What am I feeling? And it's taking responsibility. Yeah. And so what I do is empower people. I teach them lots of different tools for everyday life to take responsibility for how they're feeling. And this is where, connecting
mind, body, soul,
head, heart, and gut, which is another presentation that I do, because what I've noticed is a lot of people who are more left brain, they're not feeling. And so it's when I do this presentation, it's explaining, we've got our head brain, our heart brain, and our gut brain, connecting those brains in order to make choices and decisions. But this is how we can overcome stress and any illness or any diagnosis, and help us in everyday life.
So now your secret sauce, I believe, is really working with people that have been through trauma or a lot of emotional impact, things along that type of line, or physical. So what's your secret sauce that you're able to help people with from that perspective? I'm calling it secret sauce. You might call it something else, but I know you have a specialty there because you've also been through a lot of that trauma yourself. And so what is it that you're working with in that perspective?
So when somebody comes to me with, I'm feeling this, or this happened, that's where I and using my intuition as well, I just start asking the questions and digging deeper, because it always goes back to childhood. That's where it all stems from. So it's the root cause that I look at, and let's heal that from the childhood part. And this is where the layers come up. So when they understand, so I was talking to somebody yesterday, and she said, you know, rattled off all her illnesses, and then it was like, okay, because, you know, the body is the barometer of the soul. So it's like looking at the area of the body, where's the energy blocked, where is it stuck, and then finding out what the root cause is, what's the energy behind that. And she was sexually abused, which she blocked out. So that energy was still held in her body. So anything that's unresolved will come to the surface, but may manifest as a diagnosis of some sort. So what I do is go to the root cause and then help the person to heal it and resolve it from there, and then reconnect them, instead of, you know, because you can go on an emotional roller coaster, but really empower them to come back to their soul. So and just creating that bridge, a simple bridge, and everything comes down to a choice. And if you're feeling depressed and suicidal and sick and you know, more victim, this is the alternative. What do you choose? You can be happy and healthy and strong and resilient and have everything in your life that you ever dreamed of, and it's a choice. So, and then I just help them to cross that bridge. And really just reconnect them back to who they truly are, because no one came to this earth to suffer or struggle or be in pain. And so this is what I teach people, is reconnect to who you truly are, who is a powerful, magnificent, amazing being. And you've just gone through these experiences in order for your soul to learn and grow. So and don't make meaning out of it.
I mean, from my studies as well, I understand that most of the paradigms happen between the ages of basically from when they were born till about 7. And then it's not until when a child turns 12 that they start to bring logic into the things that are just accepted as truth when they're younger. So tell me how people respond when they actually go back to, when you were able to get them to go back and regress and find out what it was that caused the trauma. Are they usually really shocked by that, or are they just really emotional because they recognize it and say, oh my gosh, this is what happened to me, and now it makes sense of why I'm acting the way I am, or why I am the way I am. What's the responses that you typically get from doing that type of work? Because it's pretty powerful work.
Yeah, it's more of a realization. And it's like, wow, look what I survived. Yes, that happened, and yes, it was horrible, and yes, it was, you know, all the devastating things. Look how strong I am. I survived. What did I learn? What are the positive learning? So when you can gather and understand and really get clarity on what was the positive learning, well, then it's like you have forgiveness.
Yeah.
And forgiveness for yourself as well as forgiveness for the other people.
Yeah.
That's where the true healing happens. Because like I said, you know, things happen for you, not to you. And on some level, there is an agreement. You know, you've given permission and invited those people in order for you to learn and grow. So you know, everyone comes into our lives and we've got agreements, you know. This is with relationships as well, you know. Some people we have relationships with and then they move on, and it's like, what did I learn from that relationship? Because everyone on the planet is learning and growing, but in essence, the big picture, we're all one. And we're just all interacting with each other. Everyone's doing the best they can. It's just understanding that. So, and this is the work that I go much deeper with people, and each of those beliefs from childhood, and we look at each of the significant emotional events and look at what are the emotions, what was the belief that you believe, and then one by one, remove it.
Nice. So I guess I go back to the beginning where you're talking about when we decide we're going to go to this family in this life. And then that family has the ability to affect us in a way that's really forcing us to create that growth within ourselves.
Yes.
And so even though it might seem like this may have been like, why was I gifted this family when they've been treating me like that? And why was that? And really it's to help you to grow to that next level spiritually and understanding that you still have growth to do. Is that what I'm understanding? Did I summarize that good enough?
Yeah. And a couple of times they nearly did kill me in this life. But it's like, no, you can't hurt me, harm me, or destroy me. You know, my commitment is I will live this life and live a long life. You know, I'm not repeating that old pattern from previous lives and being killed. And it's like, this is the agreement, you know, with my soul. No, I'm here to do my work for humanity, to help with what's happening on the planet right now, and help people to with that shift in consciousness, and so they help them to ascend. So really, I'm just doing God's work.
Yeah, I love it. Now, I have one more question with regard to this. So when we're looking at that, are we given the gift of being able to forgive our family or forgive the people that are around us that show up in our life? What do we do to be able to release that? Because if we're continuing to carry that anger, fear, doubt, worry, or, you know, that frustration with them, what's the best way to be able to forgive so that you can open up yourself to more in life? Because I see a lot of people that still hold that pain and that anger towards their family or whoever's come into their life. And so how does someone actually do that, where they get to the place where they're forgiving and not letting that affect them anymore?
And again, back to understanding as a soul, they made that agreement. And what I do is connect them with the soul of the person. Sometimes I take them back to their child and connect with the child, and have that conversation. And all this is done, you know, in the imagination and mind, but I guide them through that. And so when you can actually speak to them energetically and resolve it from that, then in the physical, everything is resolved, but you have let go of the anger.
Mm-hmm.
And that, because holding on to the anger or frustration or resentment or whatever it is, some people have rage, and they're, I've got a client right now who's just full of rage. So it's just resolving that and just really just coming to a place of peace. But it's all in the understanding. It's like, wow, I'm speaking to this soul and they truly are not who the monster I created them to be. And it's all about what is the learning.
Yes.
So a client that I'm working with, he actually was sexually abused by a couple of older kids when he was 5. And so in that, it's like I connected them, and he realized that he gave them permission. Yes, he was younger and vulnerable, but he actually gave them permission, because as little kids, they're all experimenting, they're playing. So, and then he's able to go, oh, I agreed to this. And it changes the whole perspective.
Yeah.
From being a victim to, oh, I created this and I take responsibility, and then I forgive them for what they did. And they were just acting out and doing exactly what we, agreed to, but they hurt, yes, emotionally it is like horrible, it's violating, and that goes for a lot of things. It's like, what was their intention? And just have forgiveness in your heart, because holding on to any anger or rage is only hurting yourself. They're off skipping away, living their life,
and you're still caught.
But you're the one that is suffering, and unfortunately that's what is causing a lot of suffering on the planet today with people.
Well, this has been really enlightening, and I really appreciate your time today, and I'd love for people to know how to reach you. And I also would love you to talk about what you're going to be doing in the fall winter, as far as coming over to the US to do some different events, because I think anybody that has an opportunity to go to them is just going to be very, very enlightened and have the opportunity to soak in your energy and your ideas around this. So tell us a little bit about how people can reach out to you.
Well, on my website, it's lindabenn.com, and then that's all the information is there. People can actually click on a clarity call, and we can actually have a one-to-one private conversation. So they just book a time on my calendar. I'm on all the social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I've got my own Facebook group, Ben Method with Linda, and so, or just Google.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And we'll put all of those links in with the podcast as well, so that everybody can find you. And tell us about your trip to the US that's upcoming.
So I'm very excited, because it's been 4 years since I've traveled, and I used to come to the US once or twice every year to different workshops. So after 4 years of being in lockdown, I'll be flying into San Francisco, giving presentations in the Bay Area, North Bay, South Bay, then going down to LA, Palm Springs, across to Phoenix, to Las Vegas. And this particular trip is for 6 weeks, though it's all about planting seeds. And then I will be traveling back and forth, teaching workshops, as well as doing different work in corporate offices as well. And and of course I've got my half-day workshop for corporate, which is the Burnout to Balance program, and then I also do individual coaching as well as all the other holistic work that I do, but a lot of it's on my website, and on my website I'll just be reducing the amount of services and just simplifying it. So that's the process I'm going through at the moment.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that trip sounds amazing. So we go onto your website to buy the tickets to attend the events. Is that where we go?
There will be a landing page put up.
So still to come. Perfect.
Yes.
So keep your eye out, because I'm sure she'll have them up in the next month or so to make sure that you get a ticket to her live events, because who doesn't want to go to a live event these days?
And I love in-person events, where I can touch and feel and hug people and just feel their energy. It's magical, and that's what I love. And
I think
whoever I can uplift and empower, and that's what I love doing. That's my joy.
Yes. And if you haven't noticed, her name is LindaJoy Benn, B-E-N-N, with the 2 N's. And so I would really appreciate if anybody here that's listening to Linda that has been going through any of the elements that she's been talking about, whether it's health, whether it's really trying to get an understanding of your background and why you are the way you are, whether you're wanting to get back in touch with your soul and really get into the health that you choose in this lifetime. I think it's really amazing for you to be able to connect with Linda. She's just an amazing, beautiful soul. We've had a number of interactions over this last 6 months or more since we've known each other. And if you look at her smile right now, that's how she always shows up. And you just feel her energy when you're with her one-on-one. And she's just a gorgeous soul, completely from head to toe. And I really encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about any of the elements that she talked about. If you want to learn about the Benn method, or you want to learn about the 5 steps in the 5 renewal program, I think all of those are great, great opportunities for you to just start to dig in, start dipping your toe in if you're new, or if you've been looking at these things for a while and starting to put all the pieces together. Linda can put it together for you. So I would highly suggest you reach out to her. And Linda, it's just been such a pleasure, as always, to be with you and really see the beautiful energy that you bring forward. And look at that smile. Like, I can tell why your middle name is Joy.
That's my purpose. That's, and that's what I want for everybody. So that's why I'm here, to spread the joy and uplift everyone wherever I go. So
but to do it in a way that's a little different than most people that are just spreading joy, it's actually getting people back in touch with their joy. And I think that's what I see you doing.
Yes.
Huge, huge, huge impact you can have on this world. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Many blessings. Thank you so much, Sally.
My pleasure. Anytime, come on back. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Bye for now. Bye-bye.